Hi, my name is Martin Purnell, and welcome to Off-Grid Christianity, a weekly podcast for those who go or don't go to church and where we can meet and hear from those that have made their faith count. This podcast series is to encourage via conversation. You can contact us as well by email, ogc@accessradio.biz, and biz is spelled B-I-Z. So today's guest, who is she? Well, she is an accredited life coach and mentor, specialising in ADHD and autism. Our guest knows her subject of autism professionally and personally, as she has ADHD herself. One of her two children also has ADHD and autism, or AUDHD for short, which is AUDHD. But what exactly is ADHD and autism? What are the signs? What also are the positives of having ADHD and autism? How did our guest become a TV producer specialising in very well-known cookery shows? What exactly does a TV producer do? What is neurodiversity? And what did she think of God throughout her teenage years and the fact that her school years were not kind to her at all? Gives me great pleasure today to welcome Xanna Stuart. Xanna, thank you so much for spending valuable time with me. For those that know nothing about you, where are we speaking to you from, please?
Oh, well, thank you for that lovely introduction. Thank you, Martin. And it's so great to be with you today too. So I am calling or on line with you from Surrey.
Now, in my day, it was called Surrey Actually, because if you said to somebody, where are you from? Well, I'm from Surrey Actually. Is that still a thing?
Yes, it probably is, but I avoid that narrative.
Well, let's go for it then. 5 questions that might be really personal or just silly. That's how we get on. Question number 1, young Xanna. If you could invite anybody from history for an evening meal, alive or dead, so that you could ask them questions, who would it be?
If my mum was in world history, I would have definitely invited her. She's sadly not with us anymore. Mm-hmm. But if I was to go outside of that, I think it would be Princess Diana.
Because?
Because she had this extraordinary life, yet came across so warm and human.
Yep.
And I think people genuinely felt really connected to her. So I'd like to just sit down, have a bowl of pasta, have a glass of wine, and be really human and connected with her. Because I feel like in her world, when she was alive, she was surrounded by people that weren't very human to her. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, at the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all human. So I'd have loved to have been that same human experience to her, mm-hmm. and be a breath of fresh air and ask her really normal questions with no judgment and say that it's okay.
That's very good, because I think she should have married me, actually, because we're the same age. We both drove metros, and one of her favourite bands of all time is my favourite band of all time. There you go.
What band's that?
Dr. Feelgood. Check it out. She loved Dr. Feelgood. There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Showing my age, or you're showing yours?
Well, I'm only 30 now, I think. Well, mental age, a lot less than that. Good answer. Thank you. Question 2 then. Who is your favourite biblical character or favourite biblical story or favourite parable, please, Xanna?
Favourite parable I'm going to go with, and I'm going to go with the parable of the lost sheep.
Very good, because?
I think the more we focus on that word lost, we realise that means value. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about how important a pen is, for example. I've got this really cheap pen here. Mm-hmm. If I was to lose this pen, I'm not going to say I've lost it because it's not of any value. Whereas if I was to lose my wedding ring, it would be a real loss because it represents the 17 years of commitment to my husband, and he gave it to me and I love him, and I would lose it. And you only lose stuff that is extremely valuable.
Yes.
So that parable reminds us of our value. And there's been lots of times where I've been very, very lost. And to know that, you know, God is a God that chases after us and that we matter, because lostness implies value.
And just to show how incredibly intelligent I am, where do you keep a sheep or the sheep?
In a pen.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
You.
That was a trick question. Oh, I passed. You know, when you find something, mm-hmm. you're understood, your things can make sense. And I love that when he was found, when that sheep was found, it could have been a female sheep, when the sheep was found, it was found with arms open wide, no questions asked, no backstory, no explanation. It's, yeah, I've got you.
Wow, 2 out of 2. Great answers. Let's go for 3 out of 3 then, Xanna.
Gosh.
This is going to be interesting. If you were Prime Minister for the day and could change any law or impose new law, what would it be?
Good one. I'd probably focus on schools.
Okay.
So I'd bring in something around a proper understanding of ADHD and autism so that teachers and parents actually have a better understanding and the signs to spot from an earlier age. The earlier you understand that someone has got ADHD or autism, there are a lot less scars mentally and physically. Yeah, so often what looks like bad behaviour is actually overwhelm or a child struggling. So I would love for schools just to have, and I don't know how it would happen, I would just create the law and make people do it, but better education from an earlier age for parents and teachers about neurodiversity.
Very good.
I've got a fun rule too. Would you like a fun rule?
We want fun, please.
I think there should be something called a universal nap law.
Keep going.
I think everyone should legally get an afternoon nap.
A siesta.
Yeah. I think the world would be a kinder place.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Especially between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, because my team often drives me to sleep, so they might as well make it permanent.
Just 20 minutes. I should put it on my CV, power napping. I'm really good at it.
Power nap, yes, very good. See if you can get that one through. Which of the two would you be able to get through? This is the thing. Well, we'll find out one day when we vote for you to be PM. And the way things are going, you might be in pretty quickly, actually. Question 4. Outside of family events, please, Xanna, what has been your most enjoyable day out so far?
I am very privileged to have had lots of family events, had lovely weddings, Christmases, birthdays. They were always a big celebration in our household. But to single out the most enjoyable day would have been about 4 years ago. And I was sitting with my family. We were on vacation. We were on holiday in America. And I remember just sitting there, very low-key meal after a fun day with my kids, looking out to the ocean, having a glass of wine. And I just welled up just with happiness.
Wow.
I was so joyful. It was just, I can't explain it. So I think there's a very few times I cry with happiness for no reason. You know, a child singing a song, of course, that's going to bring you joy. But just to sit there and have this overwhelming feeling of just happiness was great. After that, my life took some real events. So I wonder if that was just a little kind of go back to that place and centre and just give me this kind of hope of happiness. But yeah, I go back to that a lot.
Wonderful. That's brilliant. Of course, when you just said a child singing will bring you joy, I'm just thinking the opposite. The opposite would be a child singing whilst playing the violin. Don't think that would bring joy to many people, Sarah.
I agree.
Question 5. What's been your most embarrassing moment to date, please, Xanna?
Gosh, well, I'm quite impulsive, so I have many embarrassing moments. See, embarrassing and shame, I think, kind of come hand in hand for me, I think. But I do remember when I was in year 6, so I would have been 11, and I was playing five-a-side football match, and it was my turn to take a penalty.
Yep.
And it was the deciding penalty, and I absolutely flopped it. The pressure was on me. It was down to winning this game, and I just went for it. And it didn't even, hit the goalpost. I completely missed the mark, and I just ran into the girls' toilets and just wept. So I think it still lives with me, this, letting everyone down, and it was embarrassing. So yeah, that was one of my embarrassing moments. And I've got a funny time too when we go to Spain quite a lot, and my Spanish is kind of restaurant language, just vino blanco, por favor.
Paella, por favor.
Yeah, paella. Aguas sin gas.
You lost me there.
That was water with still water.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
There you go. And it was my husband's birthday, and we arrived. We were at a restaurant where we knew them. It was his birthday, and I said to the waitress behind my husband's back, Feliz Navidad. Well, Feliz Navidad means Merry Christmas for those who Spanish is better or not as good as mine. And the shame. They knew what I meant, and they were very gracious. But yeah, that was my 14-year-old daughter, who speaks better Spanish than me, was just, oh my gosh, embarrassing mum moment.
Oh, it's funny though, isn't it?
Well, I now need to do more Duolingo, don't I?
If it helps, I did not know what Feliz Navidad meant until about 2 years ago.
You just know the song.
Yeah,
Feliz Navidad.
I did. And it was because a certain person called Noel Richards, and on our Christmas podcast that we do, the annual silly podcast that we do, that can get serious as well, he chose one of his songs to be Feliz Navidad. And I said, well, what does that mean? So there we go.
Well done. I still don't know what happy birthday is. Is it Feliz Cumpleaños?
I think it's happy birthday, actually.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is in Spanish as well, happy birthday.
Is that what
I think it is, yeah. Although you have to shout it louder, as you do. It's happy birthday! Then they'll understand, apparently.
Oh, there you go.
Meanwhile, let's just clear something up if that's all right, because back in my school days, when we were still having to use a chalkboard, and we had never heard of ADHD or autism. And it seems to be a word that's been creeping into the English language, along with spectrum. To me, you always hear now, oh, well, he's on the spectrum. So let's clear it all up, please. What is ADHD? What is AUDHD? Tell me more.
Okay, so ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. I don't like the word disorder at the end of it. And I do think in time it would be changed to ADHD because it's a condition.
I like that.
Yeah, so ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder condition. So it's a condition that affects how the brain manages attention, activity, and self-control. So the best analogy for that, so I have got ADHD. I am late diagnosed. I just recently had my formal diagnosis, and I've only recently kind of realised that through getting my own child's diagnosis and then understanding, oh, this makes a lot of sense in my life. But an analogy for you is, imagine my brain has got the engine of a Ferrari, but I have bicycle brakes. So my brain works really fast. It's full of ideas, but I struggle to slow down. I struggle to switch attention and struggle to focus on things I don't enjoy.
Okay. And then we move to
Autism.
That's it. Thank you.
So autism, again, so it's ASD, autistic spectrum disorder. This word creeps in again, disorder.
Yeah. I don't like that word either.
It's horrible.
Well, from my training background as well as a training officer, it's a negative word because to me, disorder, you might as well say distemper. You could say anything really. It's not right.
It will change. We're understanding more, which is fantastic. Hence why there's lots more people being diagnosed. We're understanding. We've got better ways to understand. So autism is a difference in how a person's brain experiences and responds to the world.
Right.
So an autistic brain often notices and feels and processes things more deeply or differently. So the world can feel sometimes louder, a bit brighter, a bit busier, or overwhelming.
Okay.
So there is a spectrum of autism. So you can have, I hate the word high functioning and low functioning. So high functioning means that someone with autism, you wouldn't tell they've got autism. So I have a 14-year-old daughter. She's autistic and you would say she's very high functioning. That's because we put everything in place for her that makes her life easier for her.
Right.
So she is in an environment that works really well for her. Whereas if you were to put her in an environment that wasn't right for her, she would suddenly become low functioning because it's not the right place for her. So think of it as a candle. You put a candle outside, it's not going to shine very brightly. You put a candle in a beautiful dark room and, in the right environment, it's going to glow. It's going to make amazing reflections. It's going to let off beautiful smells. So it's all right. It's all about putting these wonderful people in the right environment and understanding them.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about myself now. Thank you.
Yeah.
When you put the two together, then you've got this new word that I didn't know about until a few minutes ago, which is AUDHD.
Yeah, AUDHD. So it's just the combination of both. So there's a huge overlap with those who are autistic that also have ADHD. So they would have the autism kind of symptoms or display. They would display autistic traits, but they would also have an ADHD brain, which can sometimes be really difficult. So an example of this might be that someone who is autistic loves things organized, loves tidy, loves order, loves calm. But someone who has got ADHD would find this really hard to know how to start, has struggled with organizing.
Right.
So it's a bit like I try and do it as it's like having like an annoying sister, you're trying to do one thing and it's pulling you the other way. With my daughter, who has got ADHD and autism, we try and understand it for her as something really positive, which is they're best friends, that her autism can sometimes make her not want to be very sociable, but her ADHD is encouraging her because someone with an ADHD brain has a lower level of dopamine, so wants to have some fun. We see it as a positive rather than, oh, it must be really complicated. No, this is great.
Right. This thing about, they're on the spectrum. If we take the population of the UK, 70 million, what's the population of 70 million that would be considered to be on the spectrum? I might not even know it.
No idea. All I know is that we're getting a better understanding of it. And, and you said earlier that, when you went to school, there wasn't anyone that had ADHD or autism. They weren't understood. There would have been that child that was struggling to go into school. There was a child that struggled to put on the school uniform because of the texture. The girl that was daydreaming. Don't forget the girls. We just think ADHD is just for boys. These kind of kids that are running around. And, it's also the girl that's looking out the window because hasn't got enough attention, a deficit of attention, and it goes unmissed. There's also more stars in the sky, Martin, because we've got better telescopes.
Very good.
We've got better ways of understanding and seeing these brains.
Well, in last week's podcast, we were talking to Dr. Charlotte, and one of the questions was, what do you know about people who might have had diabetes in the Bible? Obviously, diabetes isn't mentioned in the Bible, but through her knowledge of the scriptures, she could say, well, actually, that person most probably or definitely did. So from your knowledge of the scriptures then, who do you think, especially in the New Testament, would you say, do you know what? I think that person would have been on the spectrum.
Who would you say? I'll talk this through with you. Who needed their own time to just wander off and just have peace?
Well, Jesus did.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing. But then
I know.
It's those people that just found it all too much and that were hyper fixated on the joy of ADHD is that it gives you such hyper focus and excitement about the things that you love. So I would say, yeah, Jesus, I'm not going to say that Jesus was autistic. I'm not going to say that. And I'm not a psychologist, so only psychologists can diagnose. But I can definitely help those people that have, to understand themselves better and make life easier for them. But Jesus wanting some time out. It all got a bit too much, right?
Yeah. And Peter, I'm thinking maybe he was on the spectrum because he was always think second. Maybe he had. So there are characters there. We just, until the past 20, 30 years, didn't have a label.
They didn't have a label and they didn't understand. And, people are saying, how come there are more people now, this buzzword? Yes, we've got better telescopes. Like I said before, there's better way of testing. And people who are autistic or ADHD, they're having babies with people that are autistic or with ADHD. My husband is autistic. I'm ADHD. My eldest is autistic and ADHD. We are pretty convinced that my 12-year-old has got ADHD. We're going through that. School's becoming slightly more challenging for her, and I don't want that for her because it was vile for me. And but I do think brain fog.
That's all right. Take your time.
I don't know what I was going to say. It's gone.
That's all right.
The joys.
That's fine. Let's put a positive spin on it.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant that we were able to say, do you know what? We don't like the word disorder because to me, from my sales campaign hat, that is a negative word. So you've come up with a C word instead, which was condition. Let's look at the positives about ADHD.
Oh, see, if I was a manager, I'd always employ someone who has ADHD.
Good, because?
I really would. I mean, obviously, we're not all the same. However, the great things that I see in my own life and with my clients and my children are they're creative. They're curious. They're not just accepting of yes, sir, no, sir. They're curious. They want to know more. They want to know how this world works. They're energetic. I mean, my friend said to me the other day, I have never met anyone with as much energy as you, Xanna. I have a lot of energy. People with ADHD are good problem solvers. They're passionate. They don't do anything by half, although saying that, they can do things by half because they start and struggle to finish. But when they want to do it, they're there.
Yes.
So I've got about 5 books that are on the go, and I'm 3/4 of the way and I just get bored, done. But there are many positives. There are many, many positives.
Give us another one then.
Just joyful. I mean, I just love the creativity. And I tell you what I love. ADHD brains have a lower level of dopamine. So there's never really a dull conversation. They don't want to know what colour your living room has been painted. They don't want to talk about holiday. They want to go in deep. They want good, solid conversations. And I've got some great friends that when we're bored of the conversation, we can go, move on, we're bored now.
Brilliant. Well, in light of what you've said so far, you moved into TV production, and we'll talk about that as to why you did. But for those that are entranced by what you've been sharing already, I just want to pick up, if that's okay, so they can identify more with what you've had to go through and what you've had to overcome. Mm-hmm. What would you like to share, please, about your school days and why it was really bad?
Yeah, so primary school was joyful, loved primary school. Mm-hmm. And then I went to secondary school. I went to an all-girls school, which I don't think was the right thing for me. I had 4 brothers, and I think my parents thought I needed to be around girls and not having to want to play football and sit with my legs wide open, just kind of, come on, it was either that or a convent, and that wasn't an option. So I went to an all-girls school, and with that came, I would say, a lot of trauma, actually. Uh-huh. Obviously, I have ADHD, but that was not understood there. Mm-hmm. I was bored at school. I got really bored, fast brain, and teachers just didn't like me. I was just squashed. I felt squashed the whole time. And I remember my parents were amazing at parents' evening. Their teachers would say, Xanna asks too many questions in class, and she wants to participate too much in the class. And my father said, so when you ask her to be quiet, is she quiet? Yes. And what are you doing about that child in the back of the class who's saying nothing? My parents encouraged me. They never squished me. But sadly, at school, I was never understood. And they just assumed, because I had 4 big brothers, that this is the reason why I behaved this way. And I would try and get a kick out of being with my friends. I did have quite challenging behaviour at school. I was just bored, so I would play up and be disruptive.
Such as?
I was a class clown. Let's just put it as that. I was a class clown. I did things that and we've all got those things that, we're not proud of. But I was a class clown. I was never mean, but I would have been really annoying to teach. I totally understand that. But however, I wasn't seen. I wasn't understood. I was just the naughty kid. I was shoved had my own table outside the classroom.
What?
And I was just it was horrible. And then when I was 16, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue. And later now, from what I know, actually it wasn't chronic fatigue, it was ADHD burnout. It was complete burnout of having to have put on this kind of ADHD mask of trying to understand myself. And I had, now I teach a lot of my clients about energy accounting, which is, school was expensive for me. It cost me a lot of my energy. Uh-huh. So I would come home and rest. So school was a horrible place for me, sadly.
Well, I can't believe that they put a desk outside the classroom for you to be there.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what the teacher, their modus operandi was for that.
Yeah.
If they were in a similar position now with what they know, how they would deal with it accordingly today. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I wasn't understood. I wasn't understood. And when I went through my ADHD assessment, when I went through it, and it looks back on a lot of your childhood stuff, and it really brought stuff up. It really did. I wish I knew then what I knew now, because I think there would have been a lot less scars on my heart for sure. And I don't blame anyone. I'm not blaming anyone, but it's a real shame that we now understand. So I just don't want that for anyone else, and certainly not for my kids either.
I hear that. Your faith then, the fact that you didn't know what was wrong with you, you just wanted to be hyper and enjoy life, and you said you'd be a class clown, which could easily be masking what was really going on.
Yeah.
Where was your faith at the time?
So, this is my teenage years. So I was brought up, I hate the word lucky, but I was very, very blessed to have been introduced to God and how awesome he is from a very early age, living in a big Christian household. Yeah, I would go to church. And I think through my teenage years, I was a Christian, But I would say this, I said, I'm a Christian, but not a very good one.
Mm-hmm.
So I used it as a bit of a license. It was, I'll do this and I'll say sorry afterwards. That's fine. I know I've got a God, and it was, and that was true from my teens until really I became a mum, actually, I would say. I've experienced the Holy Spirit. Once you've experienced that never leaves you. However, through my teenage to in my 20s, I glorified myself and not God.
Got you. Let's take it up a notch, if that's okay. Having been involved in the media for quite a few years now, you tend to see, certainly in, can I call it TV lovey land? Is that all right?
You can call it whatever you want. TV lovey land is lovely.
But it does attract a certain kind of person in some ways. And I remember talking to a well-known actor when I was doing the radio show back in England, and he was saying that actually when you're performing every night on the stage, when you come to the curtain call, that is what the actor is striving for. He just wants, or she wants, just to bathe in being noted, the applause accordingly. That means so much to them. That's what they're striving for, because really they're insecure.
Yeah.
So why did you move into TV lovey land then?
TV lovey land, I love it. Well, I always wanted to work in television. I liked the excitement of it. I originally wanted to be a TV presenter, and then I thought, oh gosh, that's the pressure. Couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to work behind the scenes and work in TV. Don't know why, but had it on my heart that that's where I wanted to be. So I went to Canterbury University and did a radio, film and television production degree. I think I was probably one of the handful of people that actually got a job in TV afterwards.
Yeah.
So I worked in there and then finished my degree. And then with TV, the only way you can get in is by making tea. So I became a runner. One of my first jobs was for a chat show, and the host was Nigella Lawson.
I've heard of her.
You've heard of her. I love Nigella. So I worked on her show, making teas. I was offered a 2-week work experience placement after loads of emails, rejection. I didn't care, actually. I was just going to put myself out there. And I worked for her, and then my 2 weeks was up. I was like, oh no. Anyway, I then suggested, look, I've got nothing else to do. Please, can I just stay on? I'll pay my expenses. And I stayed on. And I got on really well with Nigella.
Wow.
I then worked on food shows with her and worked for a production company that make her shows.
Uh-huh.
And the other production company made a lot of, and still continue to do so, make a lot of food shows for the American Food Network and for BBC. And then that's where I met my husband, who's a cameraman.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history, yes.
You then moved up the ladder from a runner. Exactly what is a runner, first of all, and then what is the role of a TV producer, and then what is the role of an executive producer, which sometimes we see on TV credits, like 20 executive producers. So tell us more.
Okay, so a runner is kind of the bottom of the chain. You're running, you're going back and forth, sorting out all the kind of the menial tasks. So it would be getting lunch, getting coffees, sending something to the post office. They need a quick prop. They've run out of butter for a show, for one of the recipes. So it's running around. I loved it, actually. I always said if I could be a runner and not be on a runner's wage and be able to survive, I would do it, because I loved that busyness and I love having a list of things to do.
Problem solving,
absolutely. And having a list and crossing it off. I was very good. I thrive on that. And I'm learning now the importance of slowing down too. But I also love being busy. I don't glamorize it. I like my brain working fast. It needs it. Then you go to a researcher. You're finding out more about the story. You probably have that in radio, and your history of the guest or a recipe, understanding it, and then you'd work up the ranks of producer. So in my role as a producer, I was in charge of continuity.
Right.
So this is an example of this: is that we would be filming Nigella making a chocolate mousse, for example, but we would film her doing it 3 times for different angles, for different kind of beauty shots. It was my job to make sure that the second and third time we filmed it was done exactly how she did it in the first take. So I would be left hand, right hand, olive oil, grating chocolate, all of those notes to make sure it was the same. And again, my brain worked so fast, I was able to do it and loved it.
Oh, and the fact you did it the following day. I think you had different nail varnish on.
Yeah.
Simple things like that many of you will notice.
Yeah. Or even just stirring, does the spoon stay in or out? And it just destroys the flow of it. And but yeah, I loved it. They were really happy times working on set. Great people.
Wonderful.
Great fun. Got to work in New York, got to work in the Hamptons, in Oklahoma, Paris. And then I had kids.
Oh, that's a bit like before I became a Christian, I was doing all these things, brilliant, and then I became a Christian.
I call it BC, before children.
Very good. So come on then, you can mention the name off air. Has there ever been a time when obviously they've finished cooking the food and you are allowed to taste it and you thought, that was absolutely vile?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, boring.
I mean, I love food. Food is a real passion of mine, like smelling it, eating it, breathing it. It's like I've just got a new app to stop me going on social media and it's just recipes. I'm like, oh, like I love food. But no, I can't remember anything really disgusting. I do just remember that when my husband and I would be away in America on a shoot, we would put on a lot of weight and we would just crave green vegetables. We used to live in London at the time, so we'd walk down Portobello Road, Portobello Market, and be like, I need asparagus, I need broccoli.
Well, that's brilliant. You might have seen the occasional disaster, though, in the kitchen when it was being filmed, surely.
I think it was cheesecake. We had one cook in America, and we had to make a cheesecake, and I think we made about 30 cheesecakes to stop it from cracking on the top. I mean, if you actually think about it, it was a lot of waste, but it did look beautiful. Yeah, it was pretty horrific.
I can understand cheesecake. I used to make a baked cheesecake.
Yes, the baked ones.
And I either got the crust right and the filling was just dry, or I got the filling just perfect and the crust was just rubbish. I think I made it about 3 or 4 times and then gave up in the end.
Yeah, and barbecue, if we ever had to do any outdoor grilling scenes, that was really hard. Your time frame's very short. It's not very forgiving.
Well, thank you. Gives us a better understanding. When you were doing your TV cookery producing role, how advantageous was it for you to realise that I might now well be on the spectrum, but this is what it's doing? Look what I'm doing as a result of it.
I did not realise that I had ADHD until I was 40.
Wow.
So I'm 43 now. Because you see, Martin, I saw the word deficit, attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder.
Yeah.
I had a God that loved me. I've got a mum and dad that love me. There's nothing disordered about me.
Yeah.
And there's also the deficit word was that got me. I've got so much attention. I just struggled to slow it down. So it was only until my daughter went through, well, a very horrible chapter in her life where she nearly died, actually. She had anorexia when she was 11 and it was pretty vile. And we understood that a lot of that was her not being diagnosed or not her knowing that she was autistic and ADHD, that then you realise that I have ADHD myself. So I did it then became my hyperfixation, autism, ADHD, neurodiversity, eating disorders. And I thought, yeah, I've got ADHD. And it explains so much and it's helped me get some validation and some reasons. It's not the excuse, but some reasons why things happened in my life.
If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could share a bit more about your daughter's anorexia and what did you notice that there could be problems here, but you didn't know what it was?
So my daughter, Willow, who is an absolute superstar, when she was in year 6, when she was 11, she was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa, which is a horrible, horrible mental health illness where she was unable to eat. It wasn't won't, it was she can't. She was nearly hospitalised. She couldn't walk to the toilet to burn energy. She had to be in a wheelchair. And it was a horrible, horrible chapter in our life and her life. We got her, we fed her. My husband and I, we smashed it. We really did smash it. And we had lots of people helping us, lots of prayer. I mean, that Footprints poem is definitely something that came out a number of times throughout her journey of recovery. Even, in hospital, nurses would just read out the Footprints poem that you feel like you're on your own. But God had us throughout that whole horrible chapter. Yeah, so she was diagnosed with anorexia. It took a real hold of her. It was violent. It was evil, actually. It was I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And there were real times where I thought, I can't do this. That was the honest, that I couldn't do it. I didn't want to be here much longer because I didn't want to see her in that pain. and the joy of hope, right? Because she is fully recovered now. We had a year of torment through that, and she did too. And I know lots of people that go through anorexia, and it's there for a long time. We fed her. We didn't negotiate with anorexia. We understood her. I mean, anorexia is a cocktail of things. There was undiagnosed autism. My mum was dying at the time, who's someone who she was really close to. There was also, school was really tricky for her. Her sister had also had a brain tumour before that. Yeah, the day my youngest daughter, Eden, was discharged from her epilepsy hospital was the same day my other daughter got diagnosed with anorexia. It was like pass the baton. I mean, if my life was a movie, you'd go, no, this is just...
Yeah.
Thing is, Martin, is I don't like drama. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, poor me, when you meet me in the street, I'm going to tell you everything that's going on. I'm like, yeah, everything's fine. So we've had 5 years of just yuckiness with my mum dying, my father dying. But the best thing that has happened was the worst things that happened.
Tell us more.
I was just saying to my daughter the other day, thank you for teaching me so much about myself. So going through this horrible journey with Willow, I would do it again to be where we are now. If I knew that we would get to where we are now, I would do it all over again. Willow has taught me so much about myself and other people. I now get the opportunity. I get to do a job that I love and help other people and be that person that wasn't there for me at the time. There wasn't much out there. There wasn't much support. It was tough, but I would do it all over again. And I will say that my daughter, Willow, blimey, she was an absolute superstar. You don't choose an eating disorder, but you do choose to get out of it.
That's a very good point. And how did she get out of it? And the reason why I'm asking this, there could be people listening today who are going through similar with their children. How did she do it?
I read a lot. I shouted a lot.
At God?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, he had lots. He had lots of shouting, but my mum used to say, he can take it. And I even remember being at church on a Sunday when life was really tough and everyone just singing, my God is an awesome God. I'm like, and I'd just walk away. I couldn't do it, Martin. I couldn't do it. How did I do it? Through prayer, through God, and I'll get to that bit in the end. But the medical stuff was, with anorexia, you have to understand that your brain is hijacked and you think of it as a terrorist in your brain that is coming out to destroy, and you have to fight it. So Willow had to eat 100% of all meals. If there was a bit of cheese that fell off the plate, you were eating it. It was exposure. So you had to fight through that. I was very strict. And it was also a reminder I had to remind Willow of all the things her eating disorder is stopping her from enjoying, rather than living with an eating disorder and the eating disorder winning. It was never about that. I had to hate anorexia. I had to hate it and love Willow and be very kind, because with eating disorders comes a lot of shame. But the thing that happened in the end was, we were in Catalonia on a family holiday. We love snorkeling. Willow loves the water, being underwater. It kind of mutes out a lot of noise. It's a lot of people with autism just love being underwater. And she went for a snorkel. She came back and she went, Mummy, I've got something to tell you. I was like, okay. She went, God just spoke to me and told me to give up my eating disorder and to break free from the chains, and that he's got me. She was 12. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, we have to safeguard this and check it with the nurse first, because we would just have to safeguard this. I'm like, okay, this is amazing. She goes, I just can't do it anymore, Mummy. I want you to treat me normally. I want to live a normal life, and I don't want to have an eating disorder. I've said, okay,
wow,
we can do that. We got home, we spoke to her nurse, and she gave up her eating disorder that next week.
Wow.
She just said, right, stopped. It took a long time to leave me, because there's a lot of trauma there, but she's broken free, fully recovered. She just now has autistic eating traits, which is mince, mashed potato. And if she would have it her way, she'd have chicken nuggets and chips every day, but we're not doing that.
I just have to ask, when Willow came out and said that, what was she eating on your holiday when you went down for your holiday? And what was the first meal she had after this experience of God?
Well, we didn't have a non-eating disorder meal until we came back home because we just had to check with her. That's because she was on a meal plan. So we stuck with that with the meal plan. But what we did do is we were on holiday. We would talk about this is what's happening. And I would get my Sainsbury's food app and she would add things on there. And it was Victoria Sponge. I'm literally just like going, oh my God, can you actually believe this? So it was Victoria Sponge.
With custard?
Oh, with custard. Yeah, she loved custard, actually. Custard was a safe food.
Oh, wow.
We did McDonald's. We'd done all those fear foods already. We'd gone through all of that. But I think it was the extra things like a hot chocolate with whipped cream. It was whipped cream, mummy. And it was Victoria Sponge. And it took her a while because with her neurodiversity as well, her interoceptions are quite... So she doesn't feel cold and she doesn't feel pain very much either. And she didn't feel hunger. So her hunger has probably only been restored back because she'd shut off that part of the brain. So now she gets hungry. But for the first while, I had to remind her to eat. She'd have timers to eat.
Wow.
Thank the Lord. Oh my goodness me. Oh my gosh. It was tough. It was tough.
For those that are listening, might be thinking, yeah, but your faith, how can you say there's a God when this is what's going on with your daughter? This is what's going on with family. This is what went on with you. How can you call it there's a God, a loving God? I don't know if everyone has asked you that question, but how would you answer it if they had?
Well, people have asked me that and I've asked it myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, really? The things that were going on in my life in that time was like, this doesn't make sense. How could there be? However, that's why we have faith, right? I just knew that God was walking alongside me. The other option, Martin, was I wouldn't be here today. That was the other option.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true and very real. The other option was my daughter and I, we leave this world because I don't want the pain for her and the pain for me.
Mm-hmm.
The other option is we fight this. I've got a God that is running after us, is chasing after us, and I've got a God who is weeping alongside me. This came as no surprise to him, but it still doesn't mean he wants this for me. I knew that there was a God that was holding my hand and crying alongside me and going, Xanna, it will be okay. It will be okay. And to trust. And we did. You know, my husband and I, our prayer life, you know, it was so rich, our faith. We would on our knees, we would sing. And through those moments, you know, my marriage, gosh, has never been stronger through those times. The relationships with my children, the relationship with myself, and certainly the relationship with God has all become so strong because of this rubbish.
Yeah.
You know, I think the worst thing people said to me was, well, God only gives you things that you're strong enough for, that you can cope for. And I'm afraid that's nowhere in Scripture. But what is in Scripture is a promise and a reminder that whatever you're going through, he's there. And I held on to that.
I'd love you to meet my wife one day and together you two could play top trumps, if you know what I mean. Because she had ME when it was still yuppie flu.
Yeah.
And nobody understood that and didn't want to understand. And she had to give up her nursing career and was in bed for 18 months. And then eventually when we did meet her, it was like, well, how can you be a Christian what you've gone through? And she'd say it was only because in the 18 months that she was in bed that she was able to find the quiet listening voice of God. And that's why I was saying to her, well, how come you can always hear God and I can't? And that's just because she's prepared to listen. Yeah. And no doubt you can identify with that as well, I would have thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And people can say some really bad things and really hurtful things. I remember my mum suffered badly with depression and, you know, people would say to her, how can you be depressed when you know you've got a God that loves you? Like, yeah, I'm afraid it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. You better write a book. That's what I'm saying.
The thing is, Martin, is I'd start writing the book and then get bored. And it's interesting what you said about, you know, playing top trumps with your wife. That's just not me. I don't want to have those high scores on my card.
I know what you mean.
I don't want it. And it's so difficult sometimes. And then someone will come and talk to me about they've got something going on in their life. They're like, oh no, I can't talk to you because you've been through that. And I'm like, There's no hierarchy in this. I might be going through something really horrible, but you may have an ingrowing toenail that's causing you a lot of pain, and that's okay. We share it. Through these events that I've had in the last 5 years, I think a lot of friends and people close to me just can't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
They've not been through it. So people don't know how to talk to people who are grieving. People don't know how to talk to someone when their daughter's going through a horrible mental health illness.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know how to talk to someone, their child's got autism and their daughter might not be able to cope, so we won't include them. So I think, yes, there have been lovely things with finding out a closeness of relationships. It has come at a cost to other relationships.
Yes. The thing about top trumps, I know exactly what you're saying, and hopefully you knew why I said it.
I totally did.
Good.
I totally did. It wasn't not taken that way at all.
But both you and my wife, Alison, you've come through it. And that's why you can do it, because you could easily, as you've said, as Alison would most probably testify as well, there were so many times where she could have given up, but it was that still small voice that she heard that would keep her going.
Yeah.
It was a credit to you and to Willow and to your other daughter and to your husband. You kept going. I like the word empathy because it's like, I think you can only be empathetic if you've gone through it yourself. Now, some psychologists might say, oh, no, anyone can be empathetic. No, you have to fully understand because people will then identify with you. That's why I said on the last podcast with Shola, I had to go off work for 6 weeks with severe stress back in the 90s when it was still considered to be, there's something wrong with you sort of thing.
Yeah, man up, man up, man up. Oh, gosh.
I can identify with that. So the fact that you've taken what you've gone through and you've turned it around for the good, I can see why I think you would make a fantastic A, evangelist, and B, life coach and mentor on this subject. But why did you want to do it?
So a few years ago, I was a part-time youth minister at our local church. And one of my roles was a mentor for the young women in the church, the young girls. And I loved coming alongside them. And I had one girl in particular who would come to my house on a Monday night and we would just do life together. And we would talk about school. We would talk about friendships. We would open the Bible together. And I loved it. And she helped me realise that I've got a gifting here and a passion for it and a heart for it. So I always thought I'd love to go into therapy, but the joy with coaching is that it looks forward rather than goes back. So therapy is a great space for therapy. I'm pro therapy, whereas coaching is to motivate people to move on, set goals, make things happen. So I then decided to be a life coach. Once life calmed down, I did start the training and then something happened. So I've gone back to it and then did my training. And I think the idea was that I wanted to help people have more confidence, turn their chaos into calm, and help them understand themselves or their children, for them to understand, because it took me 40 years. I don't want the same. And the joy with my coaching is that, as you say, this word empathize, I'm not just trained in it. I live it. I live with a daughter that's got ADHD and autism. I understand from a real point of view what it's like, what the dinner table looks like. I understand those meal times. I understand the preparation for a big event. I understand the recovery that's needed afterwards. I understand that, my daughter needs help. She's 14, needs help tidying her room because at that time and place, she's at capacity and I'll help her.
Wonderful. And
also remember that not everyone is on the spectrum. So that's also a buzzword that people go, well, everyone's a little bit on the spectrum.
Yeah.
That's a bit like saying everyone's got dementia because we all forget something. So if you know anyone that has dementia, having dementia is very different to losing your keys and not knowing where your wallet is.
Yes.
The same is we could all have autistic traits. That doesn't mean that you are autistic.
Got you. Well, we're rapidly approaching the final question, which is who's your Christian hero? But before we do that, I'd just like to give the floor to you. And in 2 minutes, whatever you would like to say from what you've learnt so far in life, for anyone that's listening, that's maybe querying life, whatever, what would you like to say?
This is like my take home.
Yeah.
That you are enough. I think that's just a really important message, that we know that we are enough and God loves us for who we are, and he doesn't make mistakes. And the sooner we know that, the sooner we can understand and be kinder to ourselves and accept ourselves to God. I think so many times I just thought, because I was a pickle, why would God want to invest time with me? Why would he want to be with me? I was an absolute pickle. And I think that really jeopardized really precious time and years and a relationship with God, because I didn't feel like I was enough for him. So my take home would be, don't come to God fixed. Let him do that for you.
Wonderful. And if you were a pickle, you'd be Branston.
Funny, I don't even like pickles, apart from pickled onion Monster Munch.
Why do people like pickled onion Munster Munch? It's horrible.
So good.
In my humble opinion.
So good. What's your favourite flavour of crisps then?
Oh, something spicy, I think, really. The only crisp I don't like is, dare I say it, prawn cocktail. Can't see the point. And yeah, I love prawns. Tell you what, my favourite crisp of all time, Walker's brought it back out over Easter, roast lamb and mint sauce flavour.
Roast chicken I get, not the roast lamb, because I don't like mint.
Beef and horseradish sauce. Oh.
Yeah.
Xanna, thank you so much for what you shared. I mean, the past hour and a bit has just gone whoosh. So much to listen to again and again. And if anybody has been encouraged or challenged, you've got a website.
I have.
How can they get hold of you, please, Xanna?
So my website is xannastuart.com, and you spell Xanna with an X.
I'll put the website address on the blurb as well.
Thank you.
So here we go then. Xanna Stuart. Drum roll, please. Who is your Christian hero?
I was thinking, C.S. Lewis, he'd be really cool, right? Like, love the way he explained the Christian faith. He made these really big ideas feel really simple. We love Aslan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about it recently and I was like, my biggest Christian hero is my dad. My dad, Peter Meadows, for those of you who need to know who that is. And yeah, he was a Christian hero. And for me, he was the biggest hero. And sadly, you know that he died earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
He made people feel safe. He made people feel seen. And he took time to understand people. And I think that's what the message from today is taking time to understand people. And when he found out that Willow was autistic, he did so much reading into it. He always liked to wear his shoes inside. I think it was just when you get old, it's a big faff, isn't it, to bend down and take your shoes off. So we have wooden floor in our house. And when he would walk, it would make a squeak. And it would just drive Willow's little ears crazy.
Uh-huh.
And then Willow said, Granddad, please, can you do it? And he took his shoes off. And it was just things like that he made people feel seen and welcomed and understood. My dad carried such strength through really difficult times. And I saw that as when we were younger, he had tough times and I saw real strength. And it wasn't because he had to be. It wasn't he had to be this stoic guy. It just came very naturally to him. That was really heroic. He was funny. He was stubborn.
Apparently so.
We would bang heads. We would really bang heads, especially it was during homework time, or we would. And he was stubborn, but he loved me so much. He made me feel safer, warmer. Yeah, he will always be my hero, my daddy.
Just to share something with you, because for those that haven't heard it, please go back a few months to January, February time of this year, 2026. I had the privilege of doing the tribute to Peter Meadows, because people outside the UK might not realise just how important he was in Christian media, and the fact that he started Christian media, really. Obviously, he started Spring Harvest, Premier Radio. Those are just two things he did. But one thing that came through with all the people that I was able to interview was the word stubborn.
Yeah.
And I took that and I came away and I thought, do you know what? That's me, that is. I really felt encouraged.
Yeah.
Really felt encouraged that stubborn can actually be good. Because if I wasn't stubborn, I wouldn't be here now. I certainly wouldn't be here now looking after a very sick wife who's now also registered blind. And if I'm going to get on my soapbox, I'll just be very quick and say this. But I went to Stoke-on-Trent from Bristol, a city that I loved. I went to Stoke-on-Trent to work in a Christian radio station that no one had heard of at the time. And I was paid absolutely nothing, just like being a runner. I then worked my way up and we started and we then helped form Cross Rhythms Radio. And we were doing what I thought was amazing, brilliant stuff. But I had to give that all up. There was me trusting God, obeying him, having heard the audible voice, having had to give up an amazing job as a training officer.
Yeah.
To move up to Stoke-on-Trent. And then my wife became seriously ill and I had to give it all up. And it's like, if I can do that, sorry.
I know. I like a rant. I love a rant.
It's the word stubborn. I had to give everything up. And if I can do it, please, if you're going through something, just take a Peter Meadows moment and be stubborn and say, no, I'm not going to do it. Just take a Xanna Stuart moment and say, no, we're going to love our daughter. Whatever it takes, we're going to do it.
And that's what got us through the anorexia journey, is we were stubborn. We were following that path. We were not going to let anything get in the way. We were not, it's like unwavering, isn't it? I'm not going to be wavered by anything.
Did enjoy 1 minute of it.
Yeah, exactly. Who said it was going to be fun, hey?
Yeah, and we're still here today. Xanna Stuart, wow, thank you for letting me rant.
Love a rant. What colour's your living room paint?
I'll tell you that afterwards. Xanna, thank you so much for joining us today, and we must get you back again soon if that's all right. Thank you for joining us. And if you haven't already hit the like and subscribe button, please do. Next time on Off-Grid Christianity.
He said, Rob, you have to grasp that God is for you. It's in Romans that God is for you. Book of Romans says that. He said, God is for you when your mind is filled with certainty and your heart is plagued by doubt. He's for you when you share the faith with thousands, and he's for you when you deny him. He's for you when life's going well, and he's for you when your prayers don't seem to be answered. God is for you. And that is a remarkable thing to grasp. Somebody put it like this: nothing you do can make God love you more. Nothing you do can make him love you less. And I think I've learned, even now, that we're a lot more insecure than we think. But if we can be free of that trying to prove ourselves, then it is a true freedom, a true freedom. And as we get older, we'll see some signs that we're getting a little better at that. We'll be less concerned about meeting important people and more concerned about how we deal with the man or woman selling the big issue. We'll be less concerned with how many people listen to us and more concerned with how we deal with the few that may be. So we begin to see little indications that we're looking at life a bit differently. Yeah.
So please join me with author, speaker, international speaker, and founder of Care for the Family, Rob Parsons. Until then, cheerio.